Okay, we're going to show the proper assembly procedure to install a pressure switch onto one of our 5-chamber quick connect pump heads or upper housing assemblies. This here being the basic upper housing assembly without a switch, which we're going to correct that, and we have the switch kit here, which includes the main body, the switch diaphragm, upper holder, spring, the actuator, a gasket, a cover, and the screws. So we'll show the proper assembly procedure. Okay, so first we're going to install the switch diaphragm, which is shown here. This particular one made of santoprene. It will be placed in the top portion of the upper housing in such a way. Now, the way the switch diaphragm was placed is just gentle pressure with your thumb so that it's evenly pressed into the crevice. We next have the switch housing, as shown here. We're going to show the upper spring holder and the spring are assembled together as such, placed inside the switch housing. We want to make sure that the spring is pushed down so that the upper holder is in place. Then we will place the actuator on top, as shown. At that point, we're depressing into the actuator just to make sure that the micro switch underneath it is clicking on and off, and that the spring is in place correctly. We then place the gasket, switch gasket, on top, and gently push it in place with your thumb. And finally, the switch cover, as shown, will be placed on top of the housing, and we now have a complete switch assembly. Of course, these parts need to be held with your thumb as you turn it around. We just tested a few more times, make sure that the micro switch is being activated when you push the actuator, and you carefully place the part over the upper housing as shown. And now we're going to secure the housing with the 4 screws, which will be hand tightened, 4 to 5 inch-pounds, but we just would recommend a firm to gentle hand tightening. There's no particular order in which you have to screw the screws in, but it is recommended that you continue to secure the housing onto the upper housing assembly, or the switch housing onto the upper housing assembly, with your thumb, because it's not being held yet until you've screwed down at least a couple of the screws. And there is the spring on the other side of this housing is still pushing outward, so we want to make sure and press the housing down so that spring doesn't lift this. Once you have a couple of screws secured, you're ready to just finish it up, hand tighten. Once we finish the hand tightening, you will see at the in the front here, there's a set screw, this set screw as shown here, that is going to have to be adjusted to the 60 psi. At the moment, it's installed, roughly higher pressure than that, or lower pressure than that rather. So when you finish this assembly and this assembly gets placed onto a pump, that pump will ideally need to be tested with a pressure gauge and a valve that can allow you to see where the shutoff setting is. By turning this set screw clockwise, you will be able to increase the shutoff pressure, and turning it counterclockwise, you will set the pressure down using an Allen wrench. That can be easily accomplished. But this pump housing will have to be installed onto a pump, of course, to be able to do that. Clockwise, increase pressure; counterclockwise, decrease the shutoff pressure. And that completes the installation of a switch onto a upper housing assembly. This is the complete part now.